Have you ever made a decision and later thought, what was I even thinking? Whether it's spending money unnecessarily or following a trend you didn't even like. We all fall into mental traps without knowing it. This book shows us that these moments are not just random, they have names, patterns, and reasons. All of us make daily decisions, whether big or small, but we rarely stop to think about how we think. If you have ever wanted to avoid making the same mistakes again, or if you want to understand why people behave irrationally sometimes, this book will open your eyes and give you practical tools. The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf Dobley. I actually came across this book while I was looking for something to help me understand my own thought process better. As I read it, I started to realize how often I fall into these traps without noticing. I have not only read the book cover to cover, but I also explored extra articles and summaries online to deepen my understanding. That is why I felt connected to this topic. First, I will describe some of the thinking errors that really stood out to me. Second, I will explain the author's writing style and why it makes these ideas so easy to understand. Third, I will discuss how the book can make a real difference in our everyday choices. There were a few ideas in the book that really stayed with me. First, I want to talk about some of the thinking errors from the book that really stayed with me. These are called cognitive biases, small mental shortcuts our brain uses that often lead to poor decisions. The book introduces 99 of them, but a few really stood out. One of them is survivorship bias, where we only focus on people who succeed and forget about the many who fail, giving us a false picture of success. Another one is the sunk cost fallacy, when we continue doing something just because we have already invested time or effort into it, even if it no longer benefits us. And then there's loss aversion, which explains how we are more afraid of losing than we are excited about winning. These examples help me realize how often we make decisions emotionally rather than logically. Moving on, I will explain the author's writing style and why it makes these ideas so easy to understand. What really makes this book special is the way Rolf Dobley explained these complex ideas in such a simple and relatable ways. Each chapter is very short, usually just 2 or 3 pages, and focuses on one idea at a time. He uses real-life examples, personal observations, and historical stories to explain each bias in a way that's easy to understand. The tone feels like a calm conversation, not like a lecture. You don't need to have any background in psychology to enjoy it. Even if you read just one chapter during a short break, it gives you something meaningful to reflect on. This writing style made the book not only informative but also very enjoyable. Now, understanding the style is important, but the real question is, how does this book actually help us in our daily lives? That brings me to my next point. This book is not just interesting to read, it actually changes how you think in everyday life. After learning about these biases, I started recognizing them in my own thoughts, in conversations, and even in social media. I became more careful before making decisions and more aware of how my emotions were influencing me. Whether it's making a financial choice, dealing with friendships, or just planning my goals, I found myself pausing and thinking more clearly. This book gave me tools to reflect, stay grounded, and make smarter decisions. And that's why I think it can really help anyone, no matter who you are or what you do. To sum up, the art of thinking clearly helps us understand the small thinking mistakes we make without realizing, like survivorship bias, sunk cost fallacy, and loss aversion. Dobley explains these in a way that's simple and relatable, making it easy for anyone to reflect on their own decisions. The book doesn't try to make us perfect thinkers, it just helps us become more aware, and that's the first step to making better choices in life. Thank you.
Ever had that feeling that you are droning under the weight of expectations to be perfect all the time, to always know what you are doing, to never make a mistake? But what if you could grow an inner strength that is so absolutely strong, so completely grounded that no matter what life throws at you, you are unshakable? That is exactly what Ayman Azlan explores into in his powerful book, Unshakable. Ayman Azlan emphasizes that to be unshakable is not to be emotionless or to be without flaws. It is about knowing yourself well, accepting your weakness, and building mental strength through self awareness and belief. He urges readers to stop and ask themselves hard questions. Who am I really? Why do I react this way? Rather than running away from problems, he teaches that we need to confront them clearly and with calm. The book gives motivational advice. In one chapter, Ayman reveals that he himself had experienced anxiety and felt the pressure of a public speaker. It was not by faking he was fine, but by facing his discomfort, learning to work with it, understand it, and use the power of his own mind to process his feelings, and through mindfulness practice. He did not hide his insecurity, in other words, he used it as a strength to form it. This story shows readers how being strong is not about never actually breaking down, it is about getting back up each time you do. Ayman does not just offer advice from long distance, he writes as one who has done the struggling himself. He tells honest stories from his lives where he had doubts and social anxiety and fear of failing. These are not the fictional, dramatic stories. These are real stories, and that is how it is possible for readers to relate with them. He also uses conversational language, asking readers questions and inviting them to reflect, almost as if he's speaking to a friend. The result is that the book is cozy and personal, and not preachy or overly formal. In one chapter, Ayman tells how he felt anxious and overwhelmed during university presentations. Rather than pretending to be confident, he confesses to many times feeling nervous and doubting his ability to speak clearly in front of others. But eventually, he describes getting over it by starting early, changing his mindset, and practicing often, even when he was not ready. He reminds his readers that development is the result of little efforts every day, not the overnight achievement of a goal. The imagining of this personal example encourages the reader to believe that yes, they do improve, and that yes, they can get better even if they start small. One of the things that makes Unshakable so powerful and speaks to so many readers is that it addresses everyday emotional struggles like being stuck, comparing yourself to others, constantly fearing failure, and with practical, real world guidance. Ayman doesn't fix people, he said. Instead, he convinces readers the strength is already inside them. They just need help to access it. He invites readers to move on step at a time, gently reminding them to remember that change is not a race, it's a process. The book enables individuals to directly take back their worth and to become active participants of their growth. Many readers have expressed feeling understood for the first time after reading Unshakable. Ayman, for one, has a section where he wants to remind his readers to stop depending on support from outside world, particularly from social media. He reveals that even he was once affected by the online opinions, but he soon understood that self-worth has to be felt from within. I had a student email to me after reading that chapter that for the first time she's not comparing herself to an influencer and she's on a path and in her healing, he says. But it just goes to show how much Ayman's words are real to people in the most personal ways they have ever had hope again, to be there for them and to come back with peace and with a purpose. Unshakable does three things. It calls us to develop our emotional strength through self-awareness, personalizes our heart by sharing stories that we can relate to, and touches lives by giving hundreds of individuals hope to overcome self-doubt and grow with confidence. This motivational book motivates young people to deal with challenges in life with a spirit of emotional strength and clarity. So, if you have ever felt overwhelmed, unappreciated, or unsure of your worth, well then, this book is the book you have been waiting for, because it stands up to the facing and encourages you to stand up too. If you have ever simply wished you deserve to be treated with kindness, this is the right book at the right time, because you see, strength does not lie in never having fallen, but in the courage to rise. Thank you.